From the TV30 studio, here's Jim Schneider.
Well, hi, and welcome to In Focus. We're so glad that you've joined us for our broadcast this evening. We are pre-recording today's program, but with current information, matters that are taking place here across our country. This past Tuesday, New York City elected its first Islamic mayor, who is also identifying as a democratic socialist. It's hard for me to fathom that a city that was attacked by Muslims in the year 2001 has now elected a Muslim mayor. What does this mean for New York City? What does this mean for the United States of America? Well, friends, we're going to discuss that this evening, and it's our privilege to have with us Usama Dakdok. Usama is the founder of the Straight Way of Grace Ministry. He is a speaker on the Revealing the Truth About Islam, which airs both on radio and television. Usama was born and raised in Egypt. He learned about Islam just like every other student does, learning all about it through the education system. He studied for a university degree in Egypt, had to study Sharia, which is Islamic law. He came to the United States in 1992, and with his knowledge of Islam, he has founded the Straight Way of Grace Ministry. He does speak fluent Arabic. He has authored, matter of fact, he has translated the Quran into English to make people aware what the Quran really teaches. Also has written some other books as well, exposing the truth about the Quran, exposing the truth about jihad, and the booklets, The Violent Truth About Islam and the Straight Way to Eternal Life. He's traveled the country to try and wake up this nation, warning churches, warning America, but also to win Muslims to faith in Jesus Christ. Usama, thank you so much for joining us here on the In Focus program.
Thank you, Brother Jim. It's always my joy to be with you and your wonderful audience. And sorry to have a meeting such as this and such time as that as well.
Usama, I've got a headline here from a news article that appeared in All Israel News, and here's the headline: Zohran Mamdani's revolution. A radical socialist Shia Muslim who horrifies Jews, accuses Israel of genocide, and vows to arrest Netanyahu was just elected mayor of New York City. Now what? Your response to what took place?
Well, Jim, before I respond to that, I would like to respond to your first statement, which you have in your intro. Yes, the United States of America was attacked on September 11. New York was attacked on September 11. But in the last 24 years, the New Yorkers, those who voted for Mamdani, did not know the connection between the 19 hijackers and Islam. Have they have any clue that what took place in New York, in this wonderful city, in that great place, was the practice of the teaching of the word of Allah in the Quran and the command of Muhammad in the Hadith? They would have not allowed Muslims to continue to be in New York. But the sad thing is that September 11 happened, and September 11 is gone, and the people of America and the people of New York did not know the real story behind that attack. That is concerning the attack. The second thing about Israel, of course, I can see now the Jewish people are leaving. They're literally going to be leaving New York because it's no longer a safe place. But where are we going to go? I mean, literally, unless they go back to Israel, it doesn't matter where we go. The problem we have with the victory of Mamdani in New York is that this is not the end. That is the beginning. And it will continue to repeat itself unless we, the American people, realize and learn the facts about Islam. Not this person or that person who are running for office, but Islam itself, the ideology, the teaching of Islam. Because without it, this what happened in New York will be in every other city in America.
Were you surprised by his election?
No, absolutely not. As a matter of fact, last week, I made my statement, congratulations to Mamdani, congratulations to the Muslims, and I made a statement, may New York rest in peace.
Wow. The Shia Muslim Foundation, I understand, congratulated him.
Well, Brother Jim, this is the victory of Muslims to have a mayor in the biggest city in the world. And obviously the whole world are celebrating, not just the Muslim Shiite of New York, but the Sunni of planet Earth, the greatest enemy for the Shiites, are all celebrating because they are very united with the goal to take over America. They understand that if they are divided, they cannot take over this country. So they are very united. You will not see a difference between any of the sect of Muslims when it comes to taking over America.
You know, he wants to defund the police. He wants to free prisoners. Why is this important, especially to Islam and to further Islamic goals?
Well, first of all, if he defunds the police and maybe some of the officers are going to be leaving New York, that will be a great victory because now in the near future, he won't be replacing these policemen by those who are with his agenda, most likely Muslims or hard liberal. By the way, Brother Jim, when we say hard liberals, hard Democrats, I'm talking about Muslims in America. It doesn't matter really. When you say you're a Democrat, yeah, maybe, but hard Democrat, you're 100% for Islam because the hard Democrat, if you look at their ideology and their belief about all the immoral things about literally the city of New York, let's face the reality. It's not a holy city. It's not a godly city. You think that everything they stand for fit perfectly with Allah, the God of Muhammad. If we understand that Allah is Satan, I mean, you're talking about abortion, you talk about gay marriage, you talk about whatever, any ungodly teachings in ungodly practices, it fit perfectly with Satan, who is very well known to be Allah, the God of Muhammad. So they're team, they're one team, they're not two teams. The whole world is two teams, Brother Jim. Jesus team and Satan team. So that is a fact. So if he can get rid of the policeman, why not? Maybe in the near future, we're going to replace him by our policeman, the Muslim policeman of New York. And what is the second point? I'm sorry, I lost my thought here, Brother Jim.
Well, I see, first of all, I mean, this officer's resigning, you just mentioned that in the city here, and wants to defund the police.
The prison.
And the prisons as well.
Prison. It's very simple, Brother Jim. If we have a quick look at our prisons in America, not just in New York, but in America, you will realize that is the second largest place where Muslims are growing. So they're coming to America from all over the world, and they are doing dawah. They're inviting the inmate in our prison. As a matter of fact, in New York, we know for sure that there are a bunch of the men who have love to be involved sexually with little children who are converting to Islam. I don't know what you call
pedophiles,
them. Pedophiles, yeah. The pedophiles of the prison system in New York are actually becoming Muslims. And obviously the Muslims will teach the inmate in our prison system anything that leads him to Islam. Brother Jim, I was involved in a ministry a good 30 years ago in Florida with Art Halat Ministry. And we go to prison. I was shocked that the Islam is growing among the black prisoners in America under the ideology or the thought that, hey, Islam is a religion of black, when in reality it's the opposite. So they're gaining more victims of Islam, or what we call the new Muslims in the prison system. So if we can freeze them, you'll be surprised. That will flourish Islam in New York and everywhere else in America.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that we need to point out that outside of Israel itself, New York City contains the largest concentration of Jews of anywhere, any other city, as some 1.3 million Jews living within New York City.
It's very sad, Brother Jim, because the Muslims know what they're doing and we have no clue that they are here. Yeah. So they chose New York for a purpose because that's where the Jewish people. I mean, think about it. Years ago, when I was in Egypt, a good 40 years ago, I hear the Muslims celebrating that they're going to take over Israel. And they were thanking Allah that He brought the Jewish people in one area, that is Israel, so they don't have to hunt them around the world. But also, the Muslim plan was to go anywhere around the world to capture the Jews. So if you go to a city like New York and they have over a million Jews, why not? That's a perfect place. And they're not doing that by accident. They just picked up New York. No. And what is making me twice as sick, there are Jewish people in New York who voted for Mamdani. These are the Democrats. Once again, when you are a Democrat, you're not a Jew. When you are a Democrat, you're not a Christian. You're a Muslim. Why? Because you practice and you believe in the commands of Satan, who is just happened to be Allah, the God of Muhammad. And we can talk about that for hours.
So what
it does not surprise me that there are some Jewish people in New York, and sadly some even Christian from the Middle East in New York who voted for Mamdani.
Usama, what does it mean when the Quran says not to take the infidel as a friend, the Jew or the Christian as a friend? What does that mean?
They're our enemies. and Muslims must kill them because the same Quran which teach Quran 5:51 do not take the Jews and Christians for friends. It's the same Quran which teach Quran 9:29 engage in war with the Jews and the Christians. It's the same Quran said Allah will torment them by your hand 9:41 and so on with the rest of the verse 9:14 and so on the rest of the verses of the Quran. There are plenty of verses which make sure that the Jewish people will not take Jews and Christians for friends. But there are also some verses will help Mamdani to win, which is what we call taqiyya verses. Quran 3:28. You can take them as friends. Let's pretend to be one team, one loving American people. Forget about black and white. Forget about Democrat or Republican. We're one Americans, which is the practice of taqiyya. I am going to protect myself until I take over your city. And after I take over your city, you're going to see the real Usama. This is exactly. So Allah said in Quran 9:28, do not take the infidels for friends rather than believers. And whoever does this, so he have nothing to do with Allah, except that you should guard yourself from them. How you guard yourself from them? Take them as friends. The interpretation of Al-Jalalain of that verse is very powerful. I think every American should know that. It says you can take them as friends with your tongue, not with your hearts. And this can only be practiced when Muslims do not have the upper hand. And we can go on and on with the rest of the verses of the Quran. It said, yep, when Muslims are weak, they can pretend to be anything they can to take over a land.
So talking about this election, by the way, we're talking with Usama Dakdok from the Straight Wave Grace Ministry. Usama, talking about this election, it was really pointed out that he made a campaign ad in Arabic, speaking Arabic. Even in part of the ad, you see the Palestinian flag in the background. Let's watch part of one of these ads.
مرحبا، أنا اسمي زهران ممداني وعم رشح حالي ليكون العمدة الجديد في مدينة نيويورك. بعرف شو عم تفكروا، شكلي كأني صهركم من الشام، بس العربي تبعي بده شوية شغل. مع هيك أنا حابب اليوم أطلب دعمكم يوم 4 نوفمبر. العيشة بنيويورك صارت غالية للكل. ازيك يا باشا؟ كل شيء تمام؟ وصار صعب نعيش فيها ونربي أولاد. أنا كعمدة رح جمد الإيجارات لأكثر من 2,000,000 شخص وخلي الباصات سريعة ومجانا وأضمن رعاية الأطفال شاملة لكل العائلات. ويمكن ما فيني أقنع عمك إنه الكنافة النابلسية بستانواي أطيب من نيوجيرسي، بس بوعدكم إني رح أشتغل بكل جهدي لأسهل عليكم بفتح مشاريعكم الصغيرة وتدفعوا إيجاركم وتبنوا مستقبلكم في مدينة نيويورك. التصويت المبكر مفتوح الآن حتى 2 نوفمبر ويوم الانتخابات يوم 4 نوفمبر. أنا منكم وإليكم سنراكم.
That was a good one. That was a good one, yes.
سنراكم.
So here we have him campaigning in Arabic, and on some of the shots you could see the Palestinian flag in the background. Rather unusual for somebody running for office here in the United States of America.
And what's so amazing, what's so funny, Brother Jim, that Zahran does not speak Arabic. This is somebody else recording with his voice, AI or something like that. It is so amazing. It's just a propaganda to make sure that all the Muslims of New York will vote for him. That's the whole idea of him doing a commercial in Arabic and promises them literally everything you wish to have for somebody. If you are here on welfare and you don't want to work and this country will take care of you, vote for me and you got it for free. That reminds me of Obama's phone. Years ago, when Obama was giving his phone to the people of America so they can vote for him, when in reality, it was not Obama's phone. It was my money, my tax money, used to buy a phone for some people who should not have a phone, period. What are they going to do? Talk on the phone with their friends? Anyway, so he does not speak Arabic. Like I believe 90% of the Muslims who live in New York City do not speak Arabic, but it is a very important technique. It is, I am one of you, you are mine, we're Muslims, we're here to take over New York, vote and vote early. That's exactly what he said in that commercial.
Wow. I'd like to go to just take a couple of clips from his victory speech last Tuesday evening. And this first one is which he recognized many nationalities, thanking them for propelling him into office. But it was interesting not once in this litany of nationalities did he mention Americans. Let's watch.
Thank you to those so often forgotten by the politics of our city who made this movement their own. I speak of Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties, Yes, aunties.
Usama, he didn't mention Americans living in New York City, did he?
The fact, Brother Jim, not just Mamdani, but all the Muslims who live in America, they have disregard this country. They're not here to become Americans. They're not here for the melting pot. And we have heard this so many times, even 35 years ago from Dr. Sharif al-Khattab. She said, we're American, no. We're Muslim first and Muslim last. We're not Americans. We will not melt in the melting pot. We are not going to be part of that society to disappear. And that's a fact, Brother Jim. If he will acknowledge himself to be an American, if he will make America part of their existence, the Muslim existence in America, they will not be Muslims. The only way for the Muslim to survive and take over America, to separate themselves from America, never to be part. And that reminds me of the famous brother who died just recently, Brother Kirk. What's his name?
Charlie Kirk. Mm-hmm.
Charlie Kirk, yeah. He said, immigration without assimilation is invasion. They're here to invade New York, and they did. And they're here to invade Minnesota, and they're doing. And they're here to invade the rest of America, and they will continue to do. As long as there is American Democrat who are just Muslims, as I mentioned earlier, because they are not a Christian. If you're not a Christian, if you're not in Jesus' team, you are in Allah's team. You're in Muhammad's team. As long as there are Democrats who are helping the Muslims to take over America, Muslims will for sure will take over America. And by the way, the Democrats think that if we can use the Muslims, we will be in power. They know if they run for this office, they're not going to win. But if they put a Muslim man or a Muslim woman who will have the guts to stand up to speak against Muslims and Islam, you will be Islamophobe and you'll be called all kind of names. And then you will lose and then you'll look real bad. So they're using the Muslims to gain power. When in reality, they are used by the Muslims as useful idiots. And the evidence, we can go look at London. And what you see in London, it will be on steroids here in New York.
You know, I'm going to show another clip from his victory speech, and this is where he brings up Islam in that speech itself. Let's watch.
And we will build a city hall that stands steadfast alongside Jewish New Yorkers and does not waver in the fight against the scourge of anti-Semitism. Where the more than 1 million Muslims know that they belong. Not just in the 5 boroughs of this city, but in the halls of power. No more will New York be a city where you can traffic in Islamophobia and win an election.
Okay, Usama, so he starts out that segment talking about, being against anti-Semitism, speaking against it, and then makes his tirade there for Islam.
Because that's what it really is there for. I can always give you a couple sentences to make you feel good about yourself, but the real Usama will show up later. Yes, we're not going to allow this, but what Islamophobia? I mean, why we never heard of Jewophobia or Christophobia or Buddhaphobia or any other phobia? As a matter of fact, I believe if I would go right now to speak in New York, like if I would have done it last week, I'm talking about in the near future when he come to office, I will be arrested. And most likely you'll be arrested. You'll be announcing that on your TV broadcast here, that Brother Usama was arrested. Why? Because he read the verses of the Quran in the streets of New York. Or maybe I'll be killed. And those who kill me will be treated very well because they're doing what Allah is commanding them to do. New York, rest in peace.
Usama, we're going to be airing a clip a little bit later from Al Sharpton also talking about Islamophobia, but I want to introduce another character into this whole race here, and it's a woman by the name of Linda Sarsour. We're going to hear a clip from her, but before we do, who exactly is Linda Sarsour?
A Muslim lady. A Muslim lady speaking out loud in America, using our freedom, using our democracy. She could not speak like what she's doing here in America in Gaza. She could not do that in Egypt or any Muslim country. Brother Jim, the voice of a woman in Islam equal to her private part. You should never hear a voice talk. Women running for office in America is shocking. I'm talking about this is Islam. Muhammad assured us that a country led by a Muslim is a cursed country. And we got Linda Sarsour, we got Rashida Tlaib, we got Ilhan Omar. It is on and on. They are using our constitution, they are using our law. And by the way, Muslim men are putting this woman in the front because you and I cannot say a word against a woman because not only will be called Islamophobia, will be called all other names they put for people who will dare to say something against Muslim women. But Linda Sarsour, she has zero power to say or to speak or to do anything like what she's doing here in any Muslim country, according to Sharia Islamic law, if obviously these Muslim countries practice Sharia.
Yeah, and she is one who has spoken previous about not wanting assimilation, saying we're not here to assimilate. What if they're not here to assimilate? And you know, people talk about refugees coming here and people who are seeking shelter in our country, but they're making it very clear and plain: we are not here to assimilate.
It's a fact. Not one true Muslim will ever assimilate in the West. As a matter of fact, if they come to the West, if they migrate from their home countries to come to America to assimilate, they are also cursed by Allah and Muhammad. Muhammad was against anyone who would travel somewhere else in the world unless he's going there for the purpose of performing jihad. Brother Jim, we're talking about 10 repeated verses in the Quran, where Allah clearly said, those who believe, so Allah calls them believers, and migrates, that they come to America and perform jihad for the sake of Allah. These are the three important steps. If just the American people can read the Quran, they migrate and they are believers and they're here to perform jihad. How can you perform jihad if you are melt in the melting pot? It literally, you put some salt or sugar in water and you melt them, they disappear. The only way you can perform jihad is to stand out, don't mix in, and show hatred towards the people you're with, so you can literally figure one way or another to engage in war with them and take over their country. That's exactly what Muslims believe, and that's what Muslims have been practicing, not only in America, but all over Europe for the last 60-some years.
Mm-hmm. I want to share, because what's so interesting about all of this is the Muslim money that was flowing into this campaign. And Linda Sarsour addressed this, and she said, and I want you to know, we're going to play the video clip here, but she planned to stay quiet before the election, but she's going to have more to say afterwards. Let's listen to this clip, and she talks about Islamic money as well.
Right now, I'm a little more quiet because I'm on the quiet side of this race, but I'm going to tell you that once November 4th comes around, I will tell the story. The story is not just, that it's random that Zahran ascended to this place. It is our Muslim American communities. And I'll also say that it's Muslim money. The PACs that have supported Zahran, or a particular PAC that has supported Zahran, is probably over 80% of Muslim American donors in this country. High net donors, grassroots donors. And I want to make the point that the Unity and Justice Fund PAC, which is the CARE Super PAC, was the largest institutional donor to the pro-Zahran PAC in New York.
So let's talk about this money, Usama, and also comment. I mean, she's very forthright saying, I'm on the quiet side right now, but after Election Day, it's going to be different.
Sure. Have we learned the lesson from the days of Barack Hussein Obama when he was running as president first time? We can easily expect it and see this happening. Obama received money from all over the world. Literally, they were sending him gifts for $10, $20, and he have a hotline. Literally, they were selling his shirt and some other stuff for the world, and the Muslim world celebrate. As a matter of fact, Muammar Gaddafi, the president of Libya, told Obama, "I supported you. I financially supported you. I helped you, son. Why do you hate me? Why you're not respecting me?" So the respect of the Muslim to any man running for office or a woman running for office in America is to send the money. So it's not just the American gave money, but I guarantee you, lots of money came from Iran. I don't know if even the Sunni of Qatar sent money, because Qatar helped Hezbollah in Lebanon as much as they helped Hamas in Gaza. So money is not an issue for the Muslims. They will never be running short of money. As a matter of fact, I will not be surprised to find that George Soros, the Jewish Muslim man, and I say Jewish because he have a blood Jewish in his body, but he's a Muslim because he worship Satan, Allah, the God of this world. I will not be surprised that maybe George Soros gave some millions of dollars to Mamdani. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? And I found it also interesting, as she said, we're on the quiet side right now. And the very aspect, the acceptance speech that he gave on election night was so much more fiery than what we've seen from him. He wanted to be moderate before the election, but right now there's nothing barring him any
And
further.
Brother Jim, even if you play every clip right now, we see the change of the tone of Mamdani and the celebration of the Muslim shouting all these things of Islam. That is nothing compared to the true picture. The end of the story is going to be much darker. It will be much savage. You're talking about Muslims celebrating, shouting Allahu Akbar. So what? Wait until they burn the cities. Wait until they burn churches and synagogues. Wait until they kill men and rape women and daughters. I mean, can't we learn from what's happening in London? I mean, we're talking about 2% Muslims, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, in England right now, are responsible for 84% of child rape. This will be in America. So all what we talk about today is just simple talk. Big deal. Nothing. Wait until they have the upper hand. Quran 47 verse 35 is so powerful. When the Muslim has the upper hand, they will not call for peace, and you're going to see the real picture of Islam in America.
Usama, we're going to play another clip. This is Saladin Maksud, Executive Director of the New Jersey chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CARE. And he had solicited a donation during his August 15th Friday sermon at the Islamic Center in Paterson, New Jersey. Here's what he had to say.
So brothers and sisters, today I ask you to invest in a future where we have a more just society, where Islam is embraced by Americans, where Muslims are at the forefront sowing righteousness into their communities. I ask you to invest financially with your time, to give, to make sure that Islam in America has another 30, 40, 50, 100 years to go, and Islam continues to grow. Indeed, it is the religion that grows faster in this nation and across the world.
Okay, he's talking about the growth of Islam, so that these are just seeds that are being planted now, and they're waiting for a harvest.
I love it when Muslims speak about justice in America. And the American people do not have a clue, do not know jack about what he mean by justice. I mean, do Muslims treated unjustly in America? Yes, they're treated unjustly. Why? Because you cannot practice Islam. You're limited me to one wife. I cannot have a bunch of concubines and slaves of your children's. So that's not justice. It's very important, Brother Jim, to understand the language of Islam. When Muslims use words and we do not know what they mean by what they say, like that Imam who prayed in the Rose Garden just a few months ago, he was quoting Quran chapter 1 in his prayer. And the president, Mr. Trump, and all those who were there, some are Christians, some are Jews, they said, Amen. When in reality, what he said in this prayer is seeking the curse of Allah on the Jew and called Christian lost. And we all said, Amen. In the garden, in the Rose Garden. So when you talk about justice, boy, oh boy, I'm talking about me having my 4 free Muslim wives. I'm talking about me having 20, 30 American lady to pregnate, to get babies out of, or just enjoy having sexual relationship with little girls up to 19 years old. And that is justice. When you are not allowing me to fulfill my duty as a Muslim to produce enough babies to take over America, that's not justice. That's not fair. And I can go on with the rest of Sharia. I mean, for you to make me work in a store and handle a glass of wine to some infidels, or carry a piece of meat of pork to some infidels. No, that's not justice. The justice is to remove all unlawful from the stores, including chickens, which was killed by somebody none other than Muslims. And Brother Jim, I can talk about the justice of Islam. It will make you sick.
Yeah,
so
indeed. Usama, Mamdani had just a lot of appeal. He saw the throngs clapping. Every sentence he would say, the clapping, the cheering that was going on. And one of the things that he did was to bring people on in, a very broad appeal with all the free stuff that he's promising. Let's hear the clip and then we'll comment on this as well.
We are going to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants and use every resource at our disposal to build housing for everyone who needs it. We are going to eliminate the fare on every single bus line and make what are currently the slowest buses in the nation move around this city with ease. And we are going to create universal childcare at no cost to parents. So New Yorkers can raise their family in the city they love. Together, New York, we're going to freeze the. Together, New York, we're going to make buses fast and. Together, New York, we're going to deliver universal. We will make our city one where every person who calls it home can live a dignified life.
Usama, here we have everybody, we want free stuff, everybody clapping, cheering, we want the free stuff, all these things, trying to bring many, many people into his fold.
Maybe we're going to practice Sharia fully in America so that we can force the American people to pay the jizya to accommodate the 1 million Muslim who live in New York, which sure we're going to quadruple them to 4 million in the next 20 years or so. It is amazing that he have a great imagination, a free bus, and will go fast. I came from Egypt, Brother Jim, and even the buses in Egypt are not free. But they don't go fast and they're slow and they're so crowded. Mm-hmm. You literally miss your station if you are inside the bus. You have to be at the door a good 15 minutes before your station come in. So crowded. I mean, so third world country. I think he's going to make New York a third world country, or maybe we need a few more rich people to move to New York, not out of New York, but to New York so we can tax them more. So we can have them. I mean, where's the money come from? That he never mentioned planting some trees, money trees, did he? I never heard him saying that in his speech.
Didn't hear that either. What's interesting, though, is I believe we're going to see a mass exodus of wealthy individuals from New York City and corporations that are moving out. Some have already left, and we've seen resignations that have happened within different key posts within the city as well. But here he's going on a platform. We're going to, tax the rich. We're going to get more from millionaires, and we're going to raise the corporate tax here in the city as well. And
as Brother Jim, as if the rich are not paying enough in New York, we're going to tax them more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. That man is, he's using a great imagination of maybe the Garden of Muhammad in New York.
Yeah. You mentioned George Soros just a bit ago, and we've got a picture of him now with Alex Soros. This would be the son of George Soros. And on election night, you can see the caption there at the top. He posted, "So proud to be a New Yorker. The American dream continues. Congrats, Mayor."
Well, I have not seen that picture before, but I'm not surprised that George Soros have funded that man to win this election. There are plenty of wacko Jewish people who do not believe in Yahweh, who do not believe in God. These are the wicked, sinful Jewish Democrats. And because of their wickedness, they will support the Muslims, even if the Muslims will behead their wives, their men, and to rape their wives and their daughters. Because when you are not in right relationship with the Lord, anything goes. Anything goes.
Yeah. I wanted to post another picture from election night, and this is a swastika that was spray painted on a Jewish school. And this story coming indicating swastika found painted on Brooklyn Yeshiva hours after Zohran Mamdani elected New York City mayor. He talked about anti-Semitism, but his followers are practicing it just within hours after he was elected.
Brother Jim, if you grew up in Egypt, like where I was living for the early years of my life, you hear the imam saying something and the people of the mosque doing the opposite. I mean, literally, we must love the Christian. We must protect their churches because it is our duty to make sure they're safe. 5 minutes after he finished his sermon, the imam in the mosque, they burned few churches and they literally destroyed some Christian businesses. This is how Islam works. When I say something, there is only a hint. That's not actually what I'm saying. I'm saying the opposite. So, well, we'll see what the Jewish people will be going through in New York. And sadly, once again, Brother Jim, it's not going to be that bad because I guarantee you, the rest of the Muslims in America, those who live in Texas, those who live in Florida, those who live in California, they're telling the people of New York, the Muslims of New York, calm down. Wait. When the right time comes, we'll all do it together. Don't hinder us from taking over other important cities, other important states in America. That is exactly the message between them. I'm not guessing that. I know that for a fact. Like the Muslims in America are telling the Muslims of Europe, please wait. I know you're rushing to kill and rape and do all the stuff wait, we have to take over America first. It is sick.
Usama, yeah, and on that end, we got to keep in mind, it's not just New York City. I've got a story here from the Washington Times, and it says State Senator Ghazala Hashmi prevailed over Republican John Reed in the lieutenant governor's race. This is in Virginia, and making history as the first Muslim woman elected to statewide office in the nation.
Once again, Brother Jim, a woman should never in Islam run for office. Cursed, Muhammad said in the hadith, cursed is the country or the community where a woman rule over them. But Muslims bought these women on purpose because they're trying to present Islam in a different picture than what you think. In Islam, men and women are equal. In Islam, men and women this and men and women that. Why? Because that's the early stage. Sooner, when the Muslim has the upper hand, all these, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, that woman, and that young lady, all these will be replaced by Muslim men. And then when Muslims take over America, the small number of the Muslims, the Shiite, will be gone, and the Sunni will control the entire country. That's when you see Muslims even killing Muslims in America.
Usama, I'd like to also make our viewers aware that November is known as Islamophobia Awareness Month, and calling people's attention to this. We're going to play a clip from Al Sharpton here in just a moment. But we're hearing an increase in saying, oh, no, it's just what you're talking about here on In Focus tonight. You're an Islamophobe, and we need to have this awareness month because there is so much hate that is coming against Muslims and mosque and so forth, and so we need an awareness month to make people aware.
I am outraged at the ugly Islamophobia that has been used in this campaign to act as though that every Muslim is a terrorist, and to act like because somebody campaign and shake somebody's hand who they don't know, whatever you've accused them of, whether you accuse them right or wrong, therefore makes them have something to connect it to something as ugly that happened to us as 9/11 is an insult to the intelligence of all New Yorkers. If you can't get a vote on your record, don't play us against each other.
Islamophobia, Usama.
Well, Brother Jim, I think that devil man here, or whatever you call him, Reverend, whatever his name is, does not know jack about Islam. He never read the Quran. He never studied the teaching of Muhammad and the Hadith. They are using that phrase, Islamophobia, not to allow us not only not to speak, but to even critique Islam. I can give advice to all those who are watching us right now. You don't have to believe a word I said tonight. Get a copy of the Quran and read. As a matter of fact, you don't even get a copy of the Quran. How about just this small, tiny red booklet here? I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
That small, tiny red book, it's a violent truth about Islam. That small booklet will change your mind immediately. You will realize that we have a problem. First of all, Allah calls them Muslim believers. Muhammad called them Muslim believers. They call themselves Muslim believers, and they practice the teaching of the Quran. The teaching of the Quran is so savage, it is so unbelievable. It teaches Muslims to not only take the Jews and Christians for friends, but to kill the Jews and the Christians, to behead the Jews and the Christians, to rape the wife and the daughter of the Jews and the Christians. And the answer is very simple. It's been 1460 some years since Muhammad made these acclamation to be the word of Allah, and his command to be obeyed, as Allah said, obey Allah and obey his messenger. And if you look at Islam in planet Earth, for the last 14 and 6 years, we see nothing but the killing of the infidels and the raping of their wives and their daughters. Don't have to go to Egypt, go to England, go to Sweden, go to Norway, go to France, go to Germany, go to Europe and see how Muslims are living in Europe. You don't want to do all that? Stay dumb, stay fool, and guess what? It's coming to a city near you.
Wow.
You can call us Islamophobe, but in reality, we are not doing anything except quoting the word of Allah and its interpretation by Muslim scholars, quoting Muhammad teaching. If that is Islamophobe, I do not know what else you have in your heads.
Friends, in just a little while, we'll tell you how you can get a copy of the booklet here, The Violent Truth About Islam. So be ready to jot down some information here in just a moment. Usama sent me a clip from New York, and we're going to air that video clip right now and have Usama comment on it.
We're done hiding. We're done. We're done being tortured and hurt and judged. This is the correct religion. This is the religion that all of humanity needs to be upon, of Islam. And we will not stop until it enters every home. So I want you to repeat after me. I want to hear it in every single district. It should tremble. Brooklyn should hear it. The Bronx should hear it. Queens should hear it. Say it as if the Ummah depends on this, my brothers and sisters. La ilaha illallah. There is no God worthy of worship except Allah, the God of Jesus, the God of Moses, the God of Abraham, and the God of the last and final Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Usama, this is New York City.
It's, as I said, may it rest in peace, Brother Jim. If you allow these Muslims to speak like that, and they will, because there is nothing in our constitution said you cannot speak out loud in a mega speaker or mega mic, because, hey, it's a free country. We have freedom of religion, we have freedom of speech, and we have freedom of everything. And what I heard 40 some years ago now is reality, where the imams in Egypt were saying, we will be using their constitution to take over their country. We will take over America. We will take over, and he named every country in Europe. This is the reality, Brother Jim. First of all, he started his speech by telling us that he is a victim, because that's how Muslims retaliate. I mean, I'm not going to burn your church unless I say I'm a victim and I convince my people that we're a victim. Who started that? Muhammad. As a matter of fact, when you study the early Islam, you see Muhammad migrated from Mecca to Medina. Not because the people of Mecca hated him, not because the people of Mecca victimized him, tortured him, or killed any of his followers. He lived there 13 years with his 40-some followers, 40, not 100, 40. And no, not one of his followers were killed. Not one of his followers were persecuted. But then Muhammad gave up the hope to convince the people of Mecca to become Muslims. He migrated to Medina. And then later, when he have 10,000 men, not 1,000, 10,000 men, he have now a strong army. He is no longer weak. He has the upper hand. He said, no peace when you have the upper hand. Quran 47:35, and he decided to go back to Mecca. But before he went back to Mecca, he convinced his followers that we were kicked out of our homes. These are the verses of Allah in the Quran. We were victims, and it's time for us to revenge. It's time for us retaliation. That is what this New Yorker Muslim man is saying. We are victims. We're tired of being tortured. We're tired of being persecuted. We're tired of being called a terrorist. Wait a minute. You just killed 3,000 people in the same city 24 years ago, not 2,400 years ago, just 24 years ago. And you are victims? Why? How many mosques was burned in New York? As a matter of fact, the number of the mosques quadrupled the last 24 years. How many Muslims were put in prison for being a Muslim in New York? Not even one, but the number of Muslims also quadrupled. That's why they reached over 1 million Muslims in New York. There used to be 300,000 around September 11. So now we are victims, and now it's time to ask for revenge. And how are we going to revenge? We're going to be all united as ummah. That's what he said, as one nation. With what? With La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Wow. That is what they will be calling in their mosques all over New York City 5 times a day. That's in the call of prayer. Ashhadu an لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. You're going to hear that in a loudspeaker. I bear witness that there is no God except Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. It's a false witness because no one has seen, heard, or smelled, or touched, or tasted Muhammad. But what goes with that phrase is very dangerous. Why? Because Muhammad taught the Muslim believers that he was commanded by Allah as he commanded them to engage in war with people like the people who live in New York, because I believe there's still people, even though they voted for them, to engage in war with people until they say there is no God except Allah and Muhammad is a messenger of Allah. Yes, that is a phrase which will unite all the Muslims in New York City, and that is a phrase which the Muslims of New York City will use to kill all those who will not submit and repeat the same shahada. That means if you're not going to become Muslim, I'm sorry, we have to kill you or get rid of you.
You know, there was, following the election, Nihad Awad from the Council on American Islamic Relations, that's CARE, wrote an opinion piece in which he said the election represents a historic turning point for American Muslims, a turning point, and all advocates for Palestinian freedom. And then they published this picture of Zoran and his supporters that were marching over the Brooklyn Bridge, carrying a banner, "Our time is now." That's a very significant statement.
Yes, absolutely. It's a turning point because Muslims are no longer visitors in New York City, but they are the rulers of New York City. And they will be the rulers everywhere. And as I said, literally 7-8 years ago, if Mr. Trump will not close every chapter of CARE and the rest of the non-profit Muslim organization in America, who we know for sure they belong to the Muslim Brotherhood. If we do not put Nihad out of America, America will be out of America. Because you're not going to have two leaders in this country. It's Nihad out, the Muslim Hamas Jihadi Brotherhood terrorist, or we, the American. As a matter of fact, Nihad out could not hold that position in his home base office in Egypt. That's where the Muslim Brotherhood started. You could not have Muslim Brotherhood in power in Egypt unless Mr. Obama get involved in it again, or the next Democrat get involved in it and again, and force our presidents to leave and force democracy on Egypt. Because if you're going to allow democracy in Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood will come in power again. And that is the reality of the problem with Islam. So it is sad. It is sad, Brother Jim. Yes, it is their time, and they're taking over America. And as long as there's CARE and ISNA and MSA and on with these jihad organization free to practice Islam in America, for sure, no doubt, for sure, Muslim will continue to take over America, and it is their time.
Let me just show, another example. This is from Dearborn, Michigan. Now, this is a headline that was on Fox News. Suspects in foiled Halloween terror plot pictured practicing at Michigan gun range, the FBI. And so they have pictures in the story. But here, this was an Islamic plot coming out of Dearborn, Michigan.
Brother Jim, it is everywhere. I have said that before, and I'll repeat it again. Islam is like a cancer. And if you're not a smart doctor, you will never know that this patient in front of you had cancer in his body. And if you don't name Islam the right name, which is a savage, un-American cult, then that cancer of Islam will kill you. All it takes, just give it some time. If a woman or a man found out he have cancer in stage 1, and they say, I'll wait a couple of years to do something about it. It moved from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 4, and you go to the doctor and he tell you, well, it's stage 4, which means what, doctor? You got 6 months, maybe 12, 13 months to live. That is exactly what's happening in America. There are Muslims in every city in America. There are Muslims in there's no place in America that have Muslims. And what do you expect Muslims to do but to be Muslims? And that's what they are. They're Muslims, and they're Muslim first, and they're Muslim last. And if we do not do anything about it by educating first the American people about Islam, then loving the Muslim people right, educate the Muslim about Islam. Lots of Muslims, like these Jewish people in New York, who are supporting the Muslims, they're doing that because they're so ignorant of Islam. The scripture is telling the truth. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Why George Soros would support the Mamdani in New York? Because he's so ignorant as a Jewish man of his Judaism, and he's so ignorant of Islam. And so on, their hatred to God as well. So it's a bad story. It's a bad combination.
And many times here in our interview, you told us, look what's happening in London, look what's happening in France and the UK, but look what's happening in these nations, France, and we know that this ought to be a warning to the United States of America, especially now New York City. And I read an article that talked about the growing Islamic makeup in London itself. And I'm going to just take a look at a recent march from London, and just to help us understand what is taking place over there, let's watch.
No need for that. We're on the same side, bro. No, we're not. Yes, we are, bro.
Many times we're hearing that shout, Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, imagine with me, Brother Jim, when the hundreds of thousands of Muslims in New York just march peaceably without using any violence, maybe just saying Allahu Akbar or the Shahada, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah in unity. That will shake the people of New York. And that will tell you the reality that we have been invaded in America. Once again, the warning has been told. And I don't think the American people are hearing us. And this channel and through our radio broadcast on VCY, we have told the truth. The problem is, Brother Jim, that majority of media in America, the big TV station, the big radio station, they're not talking about it, and they will not talk about it because they're part of the problem of America. They're not speaking the truth about Muslims and Islam. As a matter of fact, if you look at even some of the conservative news in America, Real American News, Max News, and all these new ones, which they're trying to say we're better than Fox, they have not yet quoted one verse from the Quran. On one of my shows on your channel, Brother Jim, I shared more verses in less than half hour than all that which has been taught in all the TV media in America. Yeah. If it is CNN, MSNBC, CBS, or even Fox, they are not telling the truth to the American people. Have the American people seen what the Muslims are doing in Europe? America will not fall under Islam. But the sad thing is that we're not talking about Europe. We're not talking about what happened hundreds of years ago in the Muslim world. And that's why this will repeat itself in America. If you do not learn the history of yesterday, it will be your future. It's a fact. You cannot change, Brother Jim.
I'll just show headlines from two other stories, and we're going to change our topics here. But this came out of Israel National News. Ramming in France, driver yelled Allahu Akbar during arrest, deliberately ramming his car into pedestrians and cyclists. This is right off France's west coast. 10 injured, several of them critical. That is a recent story from November 5th. And then also this headline on November 4th from Robert Spencer, France, 6 Five Guys restaurants switching to halal beef and stop selling alcohol. So here we got the Five Guys restaurants in France, 6 of them now switching over to halal beef. And that is certainly bowing to Islam, is it not?
You talk about France. I was in Texas 4 days ago, and huge billboard, halal meat in Texas, yes, in Orange County, in Houston. I mean, if you can have it in Houston, if you can have it in Texas, you'll have it everywhere else.
Usama, we've got halal restaurants in Milwaukee area. We've got halal grocery stores in Milwaukee area. I was traveling down
and that's the way, Brother Jim. Yeah. That's playing with word, because they have halal coffee. How can you make halal? How can you make coffee halal or forbidden? It is a sign language between Muslims, which means you can buy from me. Don't go to the infidel store. And by the way, I am here practicing Sharia, which means 2.5% of my profit is going towards jihad. When you support me, when you buy my goods, coffee or whatever, you are helping jihad in America, and you're helping jihad all over the world. Yeah. So it is a win-win for Muslims. These restaurants should be closed. That business should be shut down. If you want to save America, if you can educate our government and you educate our people about Sharia, what is behind halal?
Yeah.
It's not just because the coffee is going to be halal, it tastes better. No, it's because you buy a bag of coffee from me, $2.50. It's going to go towards Sharia to practice jihad. It's a destruction of America from inside, and most people do not have a clue.
Our program tonight here on In Focus is really coming as a warning, and Usama has been warning across the country on Islam and to understand what true Islam is, what the Quran really teaches. Let me ask you this question, though, Usama. Do you hate Muslims? I mean, is this just a hatred against Muslims that you're propagating?
Brother Jim, I can produce you a bunch of Muslim people who became a Christian through our ministry, and they will tell you how truthfully, we, the Christian, you cannot love the Muslim for hell. I love the Muslim people, even though I hate Islam. I have great love and passion to every Muslim man, because I personally believe Muslim people, not just in America, but around the world, are the first victims of Islam. The sad thing is, we allow them to grow to make the rest of the world the second victims. There are plenty of Muslims who left Islam who hate Muslims, but I'm not one of them because I'm a Christian. You cannot be a Christian and you don't love your enemy. You may call yourself anything but a Christian.
Yeah, indeed. So you are love enough to share the gospel. And friends, let me share a couple things here. Usama referenced this book, The Violent Truth About Islam. We have this available, copies of this. We make them one copy available for donation of $3, 5 copies for $12, 10 copies for $18. And you can just call our switchboard 414-935-3000. That's a red booklet, The Violent Truth About Islam. But he also has produced a green booklet as well, The Straight Way to Eternal Life, a booklet that shares the gospel with Muslims. It's a 24-page booklet to share the truth about Islam and to share the truth about Jesus Christ. And this also, one copy for $3, 5 for $12, 10 for $18. Majority of that is the shipping cost to you, but available through VCY 414-935-3000. And Usama, both of these booklets are ones that people need to be informed about Islam and what Islam really believes, but also how to win Muslims to Jesus Christ.
Sure. Muslims need to know what's in these books. I know many times when I give the red booklet to some Muslim people, they say, you insulted me with that picture. Or some imam lied and he said, this is a photo op. This is not a real picture. You use AI to make the picture. I said, no, my friends. These are the 19 Christians who were beheaded in the shore of Libya. They are Egyptian Christian, and the video is available if you're interested. They said, no, you're made up. I said, would you mind if I turn my computer and we can watch the video together? And immediately he said, no. And he changed the subject. I said, no. You accused me by lying about the picture on the cover. Yeah. And I am willing to show you the video of the beheading of the 19 Christian men who were slaughtered by the hand of the Muslims. And you're thinking that booklet is a lie. That booklet have all the truths, the word of Allah of the Quran, the teaching of Muhammad's hadith. And I challenge you, show me one of these verses to be inaccurate. So Muslims need to know what in this booklet, to know the true violence of Islam or the truth of how to become a Christian.
We're out of time here on the broadcast here tonight. We want to thank you so much for being with us and helping us to further understand what's happening to our nation.
Thank you, Brother Jim. We need to keep praying for the rest of America that it will be saved.
The website for Usama, thestraightway.org, thestraightway.org, and be informed. And friends, contact VCY for those booklets, 414-935-3000. God bless you. Thanks for joining us on In Focus.